Hi guys, I'm Woodcraft Hamster and I thought I'd do yet another video in our Revisiting Firelighting series. Now, as the title suggests, this is a one stick no Tinder fire, which is slightly misleading because you are using Tinder, but you're actually using the stick itself to create that, so you're not having to go around and sort of search out different types of Tinder. Now this is just a piece of stick that I had lying around the workshop, and as you can hear, it's very dry, and this is the ideal material for this kind of thing because it is completely dry. If you're out and about, you will need to find something that is dry, at least dry in the centre, and I'll show you in a second what we're going to do with this. But ideally you can either use it like this if it's as dry as this one is, alternatively if it is slightly damp on the outside you can split it down to get to the dry core inside. But what we're going to do, we're basically going to prepare this stick into a small feather stick, and we're going to scrape off some of the dry inner wood to create some tinder as well, and we're going to light that with a fire still. What I'll do, let me bring the camera just a little bit closer in and I'll show you what it is we're going to do. Right then guys, so here is our stick, and I've got my little SE4 out, the one that I modded a little while ago on some of my videos. Lovely little knife, really nice bushcraft knife. A little bit on the small side, but ideal for this kind of thing. And what we're going to do with the addition of my little mallet, we're going to split this stick vaguely in half. Hopefully you can't quite see that on the camera there, so I'll make this quick. But essentially what we're going to do, split this in half, and then I'm going to split it in half again, so we're going to put it totally into quarters. And again, this is a really nice knife for battening small things. And what you want to do, once you've got your little quarter like this, you'll notice you've got a sharp corner here. Now before we start making the feather stick, what I want to do is take the back of my knife, so the spine of my knife, the bit that I would normally use for striking a fire steel, and just scrape down on this sharp corner. Now what this is going to create, and hopefully you can kind of see this building up here. Let me put my knife behind that, you might get a bit of view. So what we're doing is we're scraping off some really fine material just with the spine of this knife. You can kind of use the blade just to get a little bit of it off, flip it round, and this is probably the part where you want to spend the most time, because as you can see I'm only creating a very small amount of this. Now you can split these down further to get more sharp edges. What I think I'll probably do is just take the bark off these two sides, and that's another two sharp edges we've got access to. And the same with any tinder, you want to make a hell of a lot of this. You know, there's no point doing a small amount of tinder, having it fail, and then having to start over again. So my kind of method and my ethos for doing this, if you like, is more is generally always better. You know, if you've got too much tinder, it will basically just mean that you get a longer lasting flame to get your kindling going. And I think what I'll do, I'll leave that for now, and when I cut and we go over to the actual firelighting part of it, I'll create a little bit more off camera, because you've seen what I'm doing. I don't need to bore you with this. But then on top of that, what we want to make are a couple of feather sticks. Now feather sticks are really good for firelighting. Basically they allow you to create long thin slivers of wood that will catch very easily and readily from a small flame, and they will basically allow you to get a fire going quite quickly and easily. Now what you want to do, hopefully you can see that okay there, we bring that a bit closer to the camera, starting from sort of about 2/3 of the way up this piece of wood, I'm just very gently, with not too much pressure, creating small kind of ribbon like shavings. And again, if you do this on a corner, it tends to work a lot better. You don't have to, but I find that's where you get the best results. and you're just taking that sort of down towards the bottom edge, leaving it attached because it just basically collects it all up in a little bundle at the bottom for you. And the thinner you can make these and the finer you can make them, the easier they will catch on a flame. And when you're done, what you can do is spread those out a little bit, just so they've got a bit of an air gap between them, ready to take that flame. Now I'm not going to make a huge one for the purpose of this video. Normally I'd make several of these so that I can lay one after the other on there once that flame is actually caught. But again, for this video, this is more of a sort of a how-to. We're not trying to establish a really big fire, but we've just a couple of minutes worth of work. Sorry about knocking the camera there. We've got a nice little feather stick at the bottom here. It's all nice and roughed up. You know, there's plenty of air gaps in between there. And what I'll do, I'm just going to cut for a second and move the camera around. I'll create a little bit more of this tinder over here. Sorry about the plane going over, guys. And I'll come back when we're ready to light this. Right guys, so here we have our small tinder bundle. Now this is a really small amount of tinder here. This is not what I would normally use if I was out and about, but again, in kind of inside the workshop, no wind, very dry material. This is absolutely fine for what I'm doing. And really all I want to do now is just get some sparks on this, get this going. I've got the feather stick right next to it, so I can just pick it up and get it to start burning. Now this is quite a loose tinder bundle, so if I was to put this in and start striking down, I've got a good chance of kind of throwing it all around. So I'm going to start off trying to throw some sparks on it. If that doesn't work, I'll revert back to the other method. In fact, I think I'm going to have to. And again, just got a flame starting there. Now hopefully that will last long enough just to get this tinder stick going. And there we go. So that's the feather stick, nice and established. If you get that under a good tinder bundle, or sorry, a good set of kindling, that's a nice long established flame ready for getting your fire going properly. Right then guys, well I hope that was useful. You know, as I've said before, I think in some other videos, if there's one method or one technique for fire lighting that I highly recommend learning, it's making feather sticks. They're massively useful when it comes to lighting a fire, especially if you're in poor conditions. You know, making the tinder from a stick, you know, there are better tinders out there, don't get me wrong, things like birch bark, you know, various types of mosses and things like that will take a flame much more easily. But you know, if you are in a pinch or it's something you want to practice, just so that you don't have to go scouting around for tinder that you may or may not be able to find, especially at short notice, you can always take a dry piece of wood like that and create your own tinder. But anyway guys, I hope it's given you something to think about. Comments and questions in the box below. Hit like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I hope you'll all join me next time. Thanks guys.